Earlier this morning, a telegram message purportedly from deposed Syrian dictator Bashar al-Assad claimed that his departure from Syria was neither planned nor did it occur during the final hours of the battles. Assad, by the way, as you may recall, fled into the arms of Russian President Vladimir Putin in Moscow earlier this month. It all came about when his regime collapsed. In fact, it collapsed with stunning speed, quite frankly, much to the shock of the international community. But with Syria now in a state of chaos, where does that leave Syrian Christians who are still in that country? Well, joining me now to discuss this is Jeff King. He's the president of International Christian Concern. Jeff, welcome back to Washington Watch. Always an honor to have you.
Very good to be with you.
Okay, so let's start with just reminding our audience just how big the Christian community was, at least, let me put it that way, how big the Christian community was in Syria before Assad's fall.
Boy, well, I can't remember the exact number, but it was massive. It's been probably about an 80% reduction. So it used to be the safe haven for Christians in the Middle East. He's a tough dictator, nasty, but the Christians were protected there. And there's been a massive fleeing of Christians.
So whatever that number was, as you said, and that's why I wanted to bring it up, because this was kind of a safe haven area for Christians. But did I hear you correctly that some 80% of those Christians, or at least it's expected that up to that number, have fled?
I think so, yeah. And that kind of reflects, Jody, the whole picture of the Middle East and with Iraq. Again, this is the birthplace of Christianity. But look, with radicals, free to do what they want, and war, and with Christians without protection, they have a lot of connections around the world. So the ones that can flee do.
So that would say to me, and please correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm just trying to connect dots right along with so many others, and you probably have more information than anyone else I know on this issue. But if you have 80%, give or take, of the Christians who are in Syria who have already or are in process of leaving, that would say to me they are fearful for their lives with the new power that is coming into place there. So are you at all hopeful about what lies ahead with the Assad regime, now history, or is it still a very dangerous place?
Let's see, I'm just as hopeful about the situation in Syria as I am about Afghanistan. So, Jody, the guys that took over, this is Al-Qaeda and ISIS combined. That's who these guys are. They're radical Islamists. They rebranded, and they're very politically savvy. They came out and they said, boy, we're going to be good boys and girls, and we're all about being modern and tolerant. I don't believe it for a second. The leopard doesn't change its spots. These guys are radical Islamists. They are interested in only one thing.
And that would explain why so many Christians are fleeing. So they, as you say, they're saying perhaps the right things, but do we have, maybe from historical background, is there any indication whatsoever as to how the rebel leader, Abu Muhammad al-Jilani, is there any indication as to how he might deal with Christians there?
Yeah, and just to clarify, that 80% figure, I'm looking back over the course of the last 14 years, since the Civil War started. So just make sure everybody understands. And the only thing I'd say is with the leader, the leader is he's put forward as the spokesperson and the political operative, but his views aren't going to differ from the group as a whole. So again, these guys are very savvy, so they know what to say. They don't want to be attacked. They've just taken power, very fragile hold on power. Israel is attacking, we're attacking. So they're going to keep their head low and say the right things, but there's no indication that these guys are going to be pleasant or at all safe in terms of the Christians.
So you don't think that the Christians are likely to have a haven there any longer in the future?
No, definitely not.
How does the upcoming Trump administration fit into all of this, as far as you would guess?
Well, it's a very complicated question even before Trump, because with wars, they take a massive amount of money and training and material. So these things, these movements, they don't just spring up out of the blue. Even the first war, these were foreign fighters, and they were unleashed, at least originally, to topple the Assad regime. It was in our interest to topple the Assad regime and to break Iran's hold on the region. So it was already interesting. We wanted Assad to fall. We wanted to break Russia's hold on power, which now that's happened. So it was already interesting before Trump, and now, he's got such an anti-war stance, but this is an untenable situation. My guess is we're going to slowly clean up and push these guys out, but it's going to be long and interesting.
Very messy. Real quickly, we've only got about 30 seconds or so. How can we be praying for and assisting, for that matter, our Syrian brothers and sisters in the Lord?
Yeah, well, Christians have fled already. Some Christians have fled. So the broad Arab population, the Syrian population, is relieved to have Assad gone, but they are terrified. And so we're, us and other groups, we're, forming a war chest to get people out. We've already had to get people out and to provide emergency relief. So go to persecution.org.
All right. Thank you, Jeff King, president of International Christian Concern, persecution.org. Merry Christmas to you. Thank you for joining us on Washington Watch.